Alright, so here you want to label the information that's in Table A, and in Table A we know that the price level is 100 and output is 17, so that money-demand relation is conditioned on those values. Then we have money demand and money supply are equal, so we have an equilibrium at 10. Money demand and quantity of money demanded and supplied is 10. That happens at an interest rate of 4. Now in Table B, if you look, the price has gone down. So a decrease in price, we said in class, is going to decrease the amount of money demanded because you'll need less money to make the same transactions when the prices of the items in your transactions is lower. So money demand is going to fall. So we're going to shift money demand in this way. Shift it in. And this money demand relationship is conditioned on the price being equal to 90 and income equals 17. And the new equilibrium is where it intersects the original money supply, which hasn't changed. And if I look in that table, that happens right here at an interest rate of 3. Okay, here we're going to first put the information from Table C in there. I got a price level of 100, and I have income equal to 17. And I'm looking for the equilibrium now. Quantity of money demanded and supplied is equal to 9 when the interest rate is 5. Now I've got a change in income over here in Table D, and that's an increase in income, and more income means more money is demanded. Again, that's going to be a shift. So I'm going to shift money demand to the right. So this money demand relationship is conditioned on the price being equal to 100 and income equal to 19. And that money demand relationship intersects money supply at a higher interest rate. If we go and look in the table, we got it right there. So the interest rate is up to 6. Okay, and again we're going to start with Table E, and we're going to graph the information from Table E. So the first thing we're looking for is the equilibrium quantity of money demanded and supplied. It looks like that happens at an interest rate of 5. Quantity of money demanded and supplied is equal to 7, and that's conditional upon the price level being 120 and income being 18. Now I go to Table E, and I notice that the money supply is bigger. It's increased, so I'm going to increase the money supply, shift it to the right. I look for the new equilibrium, and it looks like it's right there. So the money supply is now out at 9, and the interest rate is now down at 4 from the table. And so we'll put a 4 here. So an increase in the money supply lowers the interest rate. All right, so here we know it from the previous table, the interest rate was initially equal to 5, and then the interest rate changed to 4. And what this is asking us is to use this spending line to figure out the equilibrium level of output at the two interest rates. So we're going to find the first equilibrium where the money supply began at 7 and the interest rate was 5. So I'm just going to plug that 5% into the equation. So planned aggregate expenditures is going to be equal to 2,000 minus 25 times 5 plus 0.8y. So planned aggregate expenditures is equal to 2,000 minus 125 is going to be 1875 plus 0.8y equilibrium, spending and income are the same, so I'm going to plug that right in there. So y is equal to 1875 plus 0.8y. So y minus 0.8y is equal to 1875. So y times 1 minus 0.8 is equal to 1875. So y is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.8 times 1875. So y is equal to 5 times 1875. So y is equal to, oops, sorry, I had to figure out what 5 times 1875 was. So y is equal to 9,375. So that's the initial equilibrium. Now let me erase this. Now we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to use the interest rate as 4 when it changes, when the money supply goes up. So again, I'm going to go back to the original equation, and I'm going to substitute in the interest rate at 4. So planned aggregate expenditures is going to be 2,000 minus 25 times 4 plus 0.8y. So planned aggregate expenditures is going to be equal to 1,900 plus 0.8y. So again, I'll use my equilibrium condition to get the new equilibrium. Spending and income are the same. So y equals 1,900 plus 0.8y. So y minus 0.8y is 1,900. So y times 1 minus 0.8 is 1,900. And I'm going to skip a step here. Y is going to be equal to 5 times 1,900. Now if you just look over here, you can see the step that I did to get the multiplier of 5 here. And so y is going to be equal to 5,000 plus 45, so it's going to be 9,500. Okay, now you're asked to graph that information. So the initial spending line had a vertical intercept of 1875. And that was 2,000 minus 25, 2,000 minus 25 times the initial interest rate of 5%. That gives you the 1875. Then you're going to take 2,000 minus 25 times the new interest rate. That was 4%. And so that vertical intercept is 1,900. So the equilibrium we calculated initially for the initial spending line was 9,375. And the new equilibrium for the new spending line, when I lowered the interest rate, was 9,500. So those are the two equilibriums. So it looks like you have a change in output when you do this. Your change in output, well, it's the difference between 9,500 and 9,375, which is 125. And the change in autonomous spending, the change in autonomous, well, that's equal to 25. And what you want to notice from class, remember, we said that a change in the equilibrium is going to be equal to the multiplier, which is 5 for this particular spending line, 5 times the change in autonomous spending. And indeed, the change in output is 125, and 125 is in fact 5 times the change in autonomous, which is 25. So that works just fine. Now, up here, this was another part of the problem. I was just kind of pointing out, well, you know that autonomous spending for that spending line is 2,000 minus 25 times whatever the interest rate is. So a change in autonomous, in other words, if I can change autonomous, I'm not changing this component of autonomous spending, I'm only changing the interest rate component. So the change in autonomous spending here is equal to minus 25 times the change in the interest rate. And that was equal to minus 25. We changed the interest rate. It ended up at 4. It started at 5. So minus 25 times minus 1, that gives me a change in autonomous spending equal to 25. Right? So that's what we did up on top. Okay, so the change in autonomous spending is minus 25 times the change in R, and that's equal to 25. And the change in output, so now we're looking at this particular component, is equal to the multiplier times the change in autonomous spending. Autonomous spending. And that's equal to 5, and autonomous spending changes by minus 25 times the change in the interest rate. That's equal to 5 times minus 25 times 4 minus 5. That's equal to 125. Okay, and finally, you're given some information here on the supply of money and the demand for money. And the idea is it's trying to give you a hypothetical where suppose we know the equilibrium here is at an interest rate of 4, and that is when the money supply is equal to 10. But it's saying hypothetically, what if the interest rate were actually higher than that? So what if the interest rate was up here at 6? And the idea is when the interest rate is 6, the demand for money is only 8, and the supply of money is still 10. So we'd say at an interest rate equal to 6, we have the money supply is greater than money demand. That is, 10 is greater than 8. And so what this is saying is that individuals, we're holding 10. If there's $10 out in the economy, somebody's holding it. It's not like there's an extra $2 sitting around doing nothing. But the problem is that we're holding more money than we desire. So we write holding more M than desired. Well, if you're holding more money than you desire, then what you're going to want to do is get rid of some of that excess money. You're holding more than you desire. Well, how do you get rid of it? Well, the portfolio decision says you allocate your wealth across money and bonds. So here, what you could do is buy bonds. So you're holding more M than desired. So buy bonds. Now, if everybody does that, then the demand for bonds goes up. And if everyone wants to buy bonds, the price of bonds goes up. And there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and bonds. So when the price of bonds goes up, the interest rate goes down. And that's exactly what you need here. You want to move down that money-demand relation as the interest rate falls. So as the interest rate falls, there's an increase in money demand, and that's moving you along the money-demand relationship until you get to a situation where the money demand is equal to the money supply.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.